Today, I want to talk about who is, I think, is the greatest investor of all time. A person who is a remarkable genius. Somebody like Warren Buffett is something like you and I can copy. That is, you know exactly how he made his money. And if you tried harder or you tried extremely difficult, one day you would become another Buffett. It is theoretically possible to deconstruct Warren Buffett's success, and it is quite possible to put it together. It required great temperament and intelligence and access to lot of float. This float for Warren Buffett came from insurance companies. But to be truly a great investor is somebody who started from scratch with no advantages in life. I have looked at markets for more than 500 years, and I can name of three people who would be qualified to be the greatest investors of all time. First in recorded history is a man called Richard Cantillon, who lived 100 years before Adam Smith. Then, during the Napoleon Wars, is Nathan Rothschild, the second brother of the famous Rothschild dynasty. And the third, in my opinion, is Gregory Soros. In Soros, who turns 90 this year, is perhaps remarkably the greatest investor I have ever seen. Thomas Hardy once told of mathematicians, there are ordinary men like Littlewood, whom we can try to be hard and we could be Littlewood. And then there are magicians like Gauss, and Ramanujam is one of those. In my book, Soros is a magician of the highest class. But before we discuss George Soros, let me ask you to do something for me. Hit the like button of my video, subscribe to my channel, persuade your friends and relatives to do the same, and also don't forget to turn on the bell notification. Because if you don't turn on the bell notification, you are not going to receive all the videos. The Google algorithm does not push all videos to subscribers. Soros is a Sephardic Jew born in Hungary. His father, Tivadar Soros, was a lawyer, not a very successful lawyer, an upper middle class man who survived the First World War and was in a prison camp in Russia, who made several attempts to escape and finally escaped and came back home to Hungary. But his experience as a prisoner of war in Soviet Russia made sure that he knew when troubling times came, when the new anti Semitic movement took over Eastern Europe, when it flew from Germany to Austria and it swept past Hungary, he knew that he had to anglicize his name from a name something called as Schwartz. They became Soros. Tivadar Soros has written a book which is in publication, which talks about how they managed to escape. The book is primarily written by his son George. But through World War II, Tivadar Soros and his two sons, along with the mother, managed to survive. There were several close calls. The elder one was Paul Soros, who managed to escape as a part of a Hungarian ski team in 1948 when he went to represent Hungary in the Winter Olympics. In 1956, Soros, during the Hungarian uprising, crossed the border and escaped out of the Iron Curtain. He went to London, studied in the London School of Economics, and from there he started his career by selling handbags. A friend in college took pity on him and put him to his father's brokerage firm as a clerk. And that was the start of the Soros investment era. He became an expert in European stocks, did not see a great future for himself in war-torn England, and decided to migrate to the United States, where his brother was a successful engineer running a company called Soros and Associates. When in 1960s, Soros was working with an American brokerage specializing in European securities. Bad fortune did not leave them because when Kennedy came to power, he put out an interest tax on foreign investments, which made investing in Europe unprofitable. Soros found himself out of business. In 1968, Soros started to work with a broker for a fund called the Double Eagle Fund, which he started with $12 million. He turned out to be a remarkable successful trader who traded on macroeconomic trends. In 1973, he left the broker and started his own fund known as the Quantum Fund, where he, along with Jim Rogers, made several historic bets. He had made a lot of money and was a millionaire by 1987 when he wrote his book, The Alchemy of Finance, one of my first books in investing. But his finest hour came in 1990 when John Major and Chancellor Norman Lemon tried to defend the British pound without moving it out of the ERM, the exchange range mechanism, where all the currencies were pegged to the Deutschmark. Soros correctly speculated that the economic interests of Germany and England differed, and there could not be a unified monetary policy to keep the British pound inside the ERM. Germany was suffering from high inflation and needed high interest rates. England, in recession, needed lower interest rates. So the German Bundesbank kept on increasing interest rates, forcing the Bank of England to defend the pound by increasing interest rates and pushing England into bigger recession. Soros knew the end had to come and something had to give, and he bet billions of dollars on the fact that the pound would leave the ERM, and it did. Soros made more than $1 billion in a single trade. And then had the Monkia, the man who broke the Bank of England. Over years, he has made several such trades, and by 2000 had accumulated nearly $30 billion in profits. This after giving away a lot of money to free Eastern Europe from the clutches of communism, to free the communist countries from where he came. He set up the Open Society and gave away a lot of money. In 2013, he made more than $5 billion in a single year and became one of the most successful hedge funds in history. Tax regulations made sure that he had to wind up his fund and make it all a family office. Soros at 90 still manages more than $25 billion. For a man who came with nothing from Hungary, had to lift boxes in the underground train stations of London, broke his leg, and had to live in charity for some time, became one of the richest men in the world after giving away a lot of money for philanthropic needs. Indeed, he is the most remarkable investor of our times. Thank you for watching Be Rich. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification. If you use Kindle, you can buy the book using the Kindle link given below. If you want a hard copy, send a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would get in touch with you. At the very end, if you want to get in touch with me, please send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. I am grateful for your support of Be Rich.